What's up, coffee people? Today we are testing a bunch of different coffee canisters, and we're going to let you know today whether or not it's actually worth it to purchase one of these things to store your beans. So in front of me, I have 5 different ways to store beans, starting with a traditional coffee bag that the beans come in from a coffee shop, the Airscape canister, the OutPeak canister, the thing that comes with the Breville Smart Grinder Pro, and the fellow Atmos. All of these, I took the same beans, put them in here the same day, left them closed for the same amount of time, which was about 4 weeks off of the roast date, and I compared them and tested them all. And we're going to be going over looks and features, and lastly we are going to be going over taste. So first off, I want to start off by saying I used archetype coffee beans and it was a phenomenal experience, and there's definitely clear ones to choose from when it comes to storing your beans based off of my user-friendly experience of this. I'm not going to go into scientific detail, but that's okay. So I want to start off with the one that I have owned the longest, which is the Breville grinder canister. This one simply is just an airtight canister, so you lock the lid on it and it's airtight and it stores your beans. I like this one because it's small. It's easy to bring beans to and from places. The next one that I've had, and I've had this one for probably 7 or 8 years now, I want to say, and this one is just a simple Airscape canister by, I want to say, Planet Designs or something like that. And what this does is this displaces all of the air inside of the canister. So it has a little valve here on the lid, and you simply just press that down and it seals and pushes the air out. The last two that I have, the fellow Atmos, which is known by Fellow Products, who makes kettles and grinders and a lot of other stuff and does some really cool things in the coffee world. This one does something a little differently, and this one removes the air using a vacuum. So this also comes in a couple different colors. You can get it in white. I think you can maybe even get it in gray, and you can get it in glass. And what you need to do is you simply take the lid and you turn it, and on top of the lid, this is an accurate representation of how long this takes to turn it. On the very top of the lid, there's a little dial indicator, and eventually it will turn green, letting you know that you have sucked all the air out with the vacuum system. And then when you go to open it, you cannot pull off the lid until you press this center button and it shoots out the air. And then you can remove the lid quite simply. The OutPeak one is the newest one that I have, and this one does things a little differently. This one has a USB-C rechargeable battery in it. It lasts 3 to 6 months, and you simply press a center button similar to the fellow here, and this will release the air on it. But what is different about it is you don't have to turn it like the fellow one. So you simply press this power button here, and it will use a motor mechanism. I don't know exactly how it all works, and it sucks out all of the air inside of it, and it will give you a little indication similar to the fellow, except it gives it red, letting you know that it's stored and that lid will not come off. Simply press this button and hold it a little bit longer, and you can just simply pull off the lid, place it back on, and eventually that motor will automatically do that for you as well. At least it has in my experience. I don't know how long that takes because right now I'm sitting here and it's a little bit awkward. Anyway, moving on, you can get this one. This one is kind of a dark gray color. There you go. There's that motor. You can hear that. And as you can see, it takes a little bit, but you don't have to do anything with it. And it gives you a nice little indication light on there that it is doing the work. So this one comes in a clear glass color and this dark gray. This is almost matte black, but it's a very dark gray. And the fellow one also comes in that matte white and glass, and maybe even a gray. I can't really remember on that one, to be honest. You can get these in various different sizes as well to accommodate how much beans you store. This one you have to buy Breville with. I think you might be able to buy it on the website, but we'll get into why you shouldn't buy that. And then lastly, this Airscape one you can buy on Amazon, and this one comes in a variety of different colors and different styles as well, different sizes. It also comes with a kind of silicone lid, plastic and silicone lid on top of it that you would place on top of it, but I lost it a while ago, so it is what it is. This is what we have. And for accessories that these comes with, the OutPeak is a little bit different than all of them, and it comes with 2 accessories. It comes with this little scoop here that doses out like 7.5 grams. I don't go off of that, I use the scale. But this I love because it stores about 36 grams of coffee inside this little thing. It screws a little weird. It sounds a little bad, but it's really nice to be able to just throw some beans in here, and this is a nice little canister to carry them with you when you're traveling if you just need a few and you don't need to bring a whole thing. So 2 vacuum canisters, 1 airtight, and then 1 that kind of displaces the air as you press through it, and then 1 standard back. I thought the results were super interesting on it. So I did a cupping. If you don't know what a cupping is, basically I took all of these and I ground them using the same settings on the same grinder, using the exact same bean dose and everything, and I put them in the bottom of a cup. I put the grounds in a cup and I added hot water to it and broke the crust after a certain amount of minutes, smelled it, tasted it, and continued to do that as the coffee cooled down. So it was all a uniform tasting, so I could kind of get the varieties out of these beans and figure out which one tastes the best in my opinion. Now, the only thing I could have done really differently is if I waited longer, I could have tested it as the beans got older. That's about the only difference, but I feel like what I did gave me enough information for what I needed for this video. I want to take a quick pause before I tell you the results of that cupping, and I want to thank you for today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Amazon. Just kidding. Amazon did not sponsor this channel, but that'd be pretty cool. But what you can do though to support this channel is you can go to Amazon and you can purchase any of this stuff, and I'll get a slight commission at no extra charge to you. The cool thing about it though is if you want to support this channel but you don't want to purchase any of this stuff, you already shop at Amazon. If you just scroll down into the description, you can see a link of all of these things. If you just click on one of those things and you buy whatever you are going to buy on Amazon, anything that you buy within 24 hours after clicking that link, I'll make commission off of at no extra charge to you, and that's going to go fund this channel to purchase more things for reviews to help people decide the coffee gear you want to buy. So hop on over to Amazon, use those affiliate links, and buy something cool for yourself that you've always wanted, and that'll go to support this channel. Also, if you could please like and subscribe, that helps us out a ton. Let's get into it. So in my initial tasting, I was kind of surprised on it. I did notice a drastic difference over these type of canisters, but there was a few things that surprised me. First off, none of these tasted terrible. After the time that I waited, none of these canisters tasted quite a bit differently from them, but there were some features that kind of stuck out to me. So when I look at the quality of these things, you get better qualities using canisters than you do just storing it in the bag. However, you get a lot more convenient features that I want to talk about, and that's what I think is the real reason why you should buy one of these canisters over the other. So starting off, when it comes to taste, I'm going to rank them this way. So we have the bag of beans would probably be the worst taste. And then, surprisingly, I would put the Fellow next to the worst one. Sorry. Breville. I forgot about that one. Archetype bag, Breville, Fellow would be in third place, and then we would put the Airscape at second, and then we would put the OutPeak at first. Here's my hunch of why I think it ended up like this. Is there's nothing to really suck out the air outside of this little valve on the back of it. You can press it in, but it's not bad, but it definitely gets the job done, and it is a very nice bag, so there's no knock on the bag itself. It's just not an airtight canister. This one just was okay. It wasn't the greatest. When you add air and oxygen to beans, it kind of makes them deteriorate a little quicker from what I've heard. I'm not a scientist. But the reason why I think this kind of ended up in this order is because there's some issues with the Fellow one that I want to talk about. And I don't know how fully they are issues, but one of the things I noticed, like when I went to my cupboard to check all of these things, after a few days, what happened was this little valve on the Fellow no longer indicated green, meaning that all the air was sucked out of it. So there's two theories to that. One of those theories is it could simply be the seal's not great and you just need to do it every other day, which isn't too bad if you use the same coffee every day and you're going into the same canister. But if you use a variety of beans and you might have one sit for a little bit like I do, having that is kind of an annoying thing. One of the other things is because beans degas over time, that could make it so you could suck more air out of it, and it doesn't actually affect anything. It just affects the valve. I'm not really sure on that, but what I did notice is even though this one vacuum sucks out the air, which in theory should be the best for the beans, the Airscape actually beat it out when it came to tasting. And what I mean by beat it out, this one was, the fellow was still great, but what I got is a little bit more fuller taste and fuller mouthfeel when it came to using the Airscape. When it comes to the OutPeak, I think that performed the best because one of the things that I've noticed, and it can honestly almost be slightly annoying and sometimes, is this one will just suck out the air for you and you never have to worry about it. As long as that is on, it will do its job and suck out the air. So occasionally, if I have this on a shelf, I can hear that go off in the middle of the day because it's continuing to suck out more air, and I never have to worry about it. So if I put all of these beans next to each other in a cupboard like I did, one of the things that I realized is the fellow made me a little bit more nervous because I had to go back and think about it and remember to tighten it. The OutPeak did not do that, and the Airscape did not do that because I knew that there was nothing that could really go wrong with it. When it comes to user friendliness, that's where things come into play. I think Fellow knocked it out of the park in aesthetic wise with this Atmos, but one of the things I don't like about it is it does take a long time to just kind of twist it back and forth in order to make that seal. So oftentimes I found when I use this, what I do is I just put the lid back on it and I put it on my shelf, and that's kind of how I store the beans in it. It is what it is. It's not the greatest, but one of the things that I like about using a container over a bag is when you take a look at this bag and you want to pour it out, it's a little bit harder to pour it out into your dosing cup that you use. If you want to scoop it out, it's like, doesn't, I don't know, it just, I don't like it. It just doesn't, I don't like storing coffee in bags, and mainly because I don't like getting them out of bags. When it comes to any of these, you can take this scoop and you can easily fit your hand in there and scoop out whatever beans you want. It's a lot easier to pour the beans back in if you get too big of a dose, and like not. So when it comes to these, I think the ability to close and open it efficiently is the best. And that's why I give it to the OutPeak. That does make a little bit of noise, but if you put it in your cabinet, which beans are best stored in a cool, dry place like a cupboard rather than out on a shelf in the sunlight, the OutPeak just does a great job because it's simply press this button, put the lid back on, and it does it for you and seals it for you. And I've never had this fail on me, and I also have not had the battery die in the 3 months that I've owned it. So it's still going strong. You don't really have to recharge it a ton. And everybody has a USB-C cable now because it's 2024, so you shouldn't have a problem with it. So if you are looking for a canister, I would choose the OutPeak. I think it looks sleek. It doesn't look as good as the Fellow, but when it comes to the terminology of the way that you use one of these canisters, the OutPeak's the easiest, and I think that is worth the money to spend it. And then you get this nice little scoop, which I use scoops all the time. I actually have a couple Hario ones from V60s, and then I use the OutPeak canister when I travel, and it works super great. Nice little accessories included with it, and just a really phenomenal thing. And honestly, I got the best coffee out of it too, so pros on that. If you're looking at buying any of these, or use the link in the description, I'll make a slight commission at no extra charge to you. Follow me on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.